Hello, this is Chantel, your therapist. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about communication skills, okay? And it's different types of communication, but right now I'm going to I'm going to focus on a type of communication called active listening. Now, active listening is a skill because everybody don't naturally know how to like listen to a person. People think they are, but they're not. Active listening requires like your full focus on a person that's speaking. So it requires you to show that you're listening. And you do this by one, putting away distractions. So like if you have your cell phone out, or if you're watching TV, or you're doing something else, like you're trying to multitask, that's not really active listening. Because even if you can do that, because some people are talented and can like listen and do two or three things at once. But sometimes when that happens, if somebody was talking to you about something that's important to them and they saw that you were busy fiddling with your phone and checking this thing out and listen to this thing over there and get distracted, they might take offense to it, think that you're not taking what they're talking about seriously. So that can first off cause an argument. Okay. So the first thing to do for good active listening skills is to put all the distractions away. Okay. So is a active listening is an active process. It's not a passive one. And that means that you have to participate in the conversation rather than just acting as an audience. Just like, if you think about a lecturer, like a professor, and he's got this audience of like 150 students, and then he's just talking. You know what I'm saying? He's just lecturing. That's not acting, he's not like expecting you to listen and say, uh-huh, uh-huh. Although some professors do like to look in the audience and make sure that you're paying attention and see that head nod to confirm that you got what he's saying, or you know what I'm saying? They kind of give them a stamp of approval. That's the same thing when a person is talking to you individually and they want your full attention. They want that stamp of approval that you hear them. They want you to validate that you hear what they're saying. So you can do this by like non-verbal cues, like nodding your head, like that's nonverbal communication, or saying mm-hmm, or you know what I'm saying, or that's interesting, or that makes sense. Or I understand, like just the nodding in agreement is one thing that helps, or smiling, like if something was funny or something like they said, like just lighten something up for you. And the main thing is making eye contact. Make sure you're looking at the person and make sure that they got your attention. Okay, so that's the first thing. So that's the first way that having skills like active listening can help avoid argument altogether. Because think about if you think about a husband and wife, or girlfriend and boyfriend, and then the girlfriend or boyfriend is upset with the other, and then they're talking at each other, and then like the other person walking away or not listening, and you know what I'm saying, they're not like sharing that they understand. It heightens the negativity or the emotional energy in the room because they're feeling like they're unheard. So show that you're listening. Okay. The next part to active listening is encourage sharing. So like when the person is talking and then you have a question about something that they're talking about, or you don't fully understand something, ask open-ended questioning to get the person that's speaking to elaborate more. So instead of just saying, "Oh yes, I understand," or "No, I don't understand," ask open question like, what did it mean when you said such and such?" Or "How do you know do this?" Or, what I'm talking about, what do you like about this? Or, what I'm saying, what are your thoughts about? Or can you tell me more about this? Like if you don't understand something, can you tell me more about that experience that you're talking about when you said such and such and such and such? And then, or how did it feel when that person did that to you? Like you're asking questions in between the pauses, you know what I'm saying? Not like a whole bunch at once, like you're interrogating, but like if the person paused, or they're saying something and you like, what did that mean? And they'll probably stop, like, oh, and that's, oh, I just understand what you meant when you said such and such. Can you elaborate on that? Like that. So you encourage them to open up more. But a lot of times the encouraging sharing part is relevant when a person is not as um like they're not communicating a lot. They're the ones that's not over elaborating. That's when you ask open a question and get them to talk more about the situation. Okay. And then to follow up with the encouraging through the sharing process, you have to use reflection. So you use your own words to kind of summarize the most important points that the speaker made. And this includes the emotional context and the communication through your tone and body language. So like the speaker said, for example, "I've been having a hard time at work. There's way too much to do and I can't keep up. My boss is frustrated that everything isn't done, but I can't help it," right? So then you can say as a listener, just, "Oh, it sounds like you're doing your best to keep up with things, but it's too much work. That sounds stressful." Like, so you validate how they feel. And they say, "Yes." And so they may start talking more. You know what I'm saying? And it shows them that you listening, you understood them, an emotional aspect and that type thing. And I know this is hard to do when two people are in a heated conversation, when they're arguing with each other, but that's something that has to come with practice. So if somebody's expressing their emotions and feelings, give them the floor for a moment, and then before you say your point or your argument or counter argument against what they're saying, first validate what they're saying by using reflection. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing if you was to argue with somebody, and you felt like they were saying whatever they're saying that you did was incorrect, and you can like ask ask open-ended questions, get clarity on what they mean. Like, what did you mean when you said this? Because I said this is how I meant it. You know what I'm saying? And like you start the conversation or the dialogue. So you have to have a banter that goes back and forth. The main thing to make sure is that you're not talking at the person and you're not like hogging the floor. So you gotta, if you active listening skills, like, so if you're in an argument, it's hard to be an active listener because you kind of just want to get your point across. But when you are in an argument, this is a perfect time to practice allowing yourself to talk and allowing the other person to respond to what you said. So you know what I'm saying? You gotta, allow them to reflect on what you said and then respond. And the first thing the person that's responding to you, I want them to say, to repeat what you said back. So it's like a reflection of what you said. So what I'm hearing you saying is you're frustrated when I do X, Y, and Z, and you'd rather it be this way. And they'll say, yes, because this is this is this. Like, okay, I understand that. That makes sense. Now, can I bring up a point that bothers me about the situation with you? Like that. And that's hard to do. It's hard to get to that point, but that's like the goal. So the thing is, when you do get in heated conversations or arguments with someone, practice using these skills. So the first one I just showed you was put distractions away. Make sure the person got your undivided attention. Make sure you giving verbal and nonverbal communication, that you're listening, that you hear them, that you're there, like, nod your head, that type thing. And then encourage them to elaborate, or we call it share. So you ask open-ended questions, get clarity. Like if they were saying something incorrectly that you felt like you did, then you ask to get clarity on that. So, what did you mean when you said X, Y, and Z? And then when they do tell you stuff, reflect back on it. Okay, I understand you're frustrated because you wanted me to do X, Y, Z, and you were disappointed because I didn't do this. So I understand that. I understand how that can make you feel that way. Okay. And then the last part to the active listening skill segment is to strive to understand. So they want you to be present in the moment. So listening means paying attention to the other person's body language, the tone, and the verbal content. So sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And when people have emphasis on certain words, or they feel strongly about certain things, their voice will elevate, or they'll like have more body movement, they're more animated with the situations. So when that happens, the person that's being receptive to what they're saying, especially if it's about that person, like you're arguing with somebody, they might get distracted, like mental distraction, like what? Start in your mind, start thinking other things that you want to say back to them. That's what you got to hold back on. That's what you got to hold back on. Do not, when the person is talking to you, you cannot think about what you're going to say, how you're going to counteract what they're saying, because that means you're not actively listening. You're not in the moment. You're just thinking about the next thing you're going to say, and nothing's being solved there. So both of y'all just going to be talking at each other, and nothing's going to be solved. So if you ever feel like, oh my God, if I don't say what I want to say, because they saying something that's not true and I need to correct that, just grab a piece of paper, write something down. Like you don't have to be a complete sentence, like a thought. Like they said that I did this is this, so you can remember what you want to reply to later. You know what I'm saying? And then yeah, so that you can save that for later. And then when you listening to people, listen with an open mind. Sometimes when we listen to people and we hear what they say, we only viewing it from our situation. Try to open your mind and see it from a broader perspective. See it from their situation. See how it could affect them. And like again, when you're in the moment, if you're in a heated discussion, it's hard to see. But that's what I'm challenging to. Just kind of step away and see it from a different perspective. Like if I was a parent in this situation, or if I was my boyfriend and he was saying this, how would that make me feel? Or if I was in a situation with this, start like opening up, or looking at alternative ways of viewing it. Like I'm seeing it from my perspective, because I'm seeing it black and white right now, because I'm like hyper focused on whatever the conversation is. I'm not hyper focused probably on winning the argument, but I need to like step back, and I want to see things more objectively, seeing it from the bigger picture instead of subjectively from my limited perspective. So listening with an open mind. So when you listen, try to be logical, try to open up to like the possibilities, or the different perspective of different people's, from their viewpoint. Okay. All right. So that's the first lesson on communication skill, is active listening. The next is going to be on reflective skills, and then passive and assertive communication skills. All right.